I Gabe, you know how like a lot of 9 to 5 professionals, like people that get into the W-2 world, they, get the itch to like want to create like a scalable passive income stream so they can like quit their job, control their time, reinvest in real estate. But then they like hit walls trying to figure out how to do that without like spending their life savings or creating like actually enough cash flow to where it actually impacts their lifestyle. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So usually they try to buy like their first investment property and might even make it to their second or third, but then they just can't seem to get enough cash flow to like pay back their time.
$200 cash flow on a door, and it's just like, how do I scale this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's like it's not enough to impact their lifestyle, right? Without saving another 50 to 100K. So what I do is I help people launch profitable Airbnbs fast without having to buy real estate using arbitrage and co-hosting so they can finally make 5 to 10K a month on autopilot and buy back their time, right? But
Right.
that's not where it all started for me. As a matter of fact, going back a few years, Gabe, I was working in corporate. And I think like many of the other guests that you've had on here, it was like I made a decent amount of money in corporate. I was relatively successful among my peers in corporate. And I was just like, is this it? Right. And then I got the itch to get into real estate because I thought it was the answer. And I listened to Bigger Pockets. I was a huge fan of that. Before I knew you existed, of course, right? And I thought I had this epiphany that like, hey, if I buy an investment property, all my problems will be solved, and I'll be well on my way to being financially free. So I scrounged together in my mid-20s every dollar in my savings. It was like 60K to my name, right? And I buy this duplex, and I buy the duplex, and I think you already know where this is going. What ends up happening is property turned out to be a nightmare. I had every problem you can think of under the sun. I had like a
Sounds like my
rodent.
first deal.
Yeah, dude, it genuinely was just it was a property from hell, I like to say, but everything under the sun that you think of could have happened. Like I had a rodent infestation in the house with my tenants. I had a roach infestation in the house with my tenants. I had tenants that didn't keep the property clean, clearly, had a mold outbreak, massive kitchen renovation to try to remediate that, all this stuff. And then at the end of the day, yes, it's cash flowing $400 or $500 a month on paper, but guess where all that money went? Like it just went back into fixing all of the things that I just mentioned and then some. So 5, 6, 7 years later down the line, I'm still net zero on the property, and ironically, it's now being sold, in a couple of days, which is a relief. Point is, I was like, what else can I do? Because clearly this isn't generating the cash flow that I need to actually make an impact in my life. So a friend of mine introduced me to the idea of short-term rental arbitrage. So if anyone, I guess, listening is not familiar with the concept, very, very simple concept where I rent a property, furnish it, list it on Airbnb or similar short-term rental platforms, and then collect the difference in profit each month. Okay. And at first I was very, skeptical of that idea, Gabe, because it just like, me coming from the world of real estate investing, like I want equity, I want ownership, I want this, I want that. And a lease is only a multi-year relationship, right? So, but I decided to give it a shot because I was like, at this point, I really don't have capital left. I sunk it. So, we went ahead and dove into this world head first. And, by the end of year one, we went from 0 to about 19, 20 properties in this arbitrage model. And by year two, we then pivoted into larger arbitrage projects involving, big apartment complexes and things like that. Now about 36, 38 units, producing well over 1.4 million in rev, which is super cool. So it worked, and it worked quickly. So that was kind of the Cliff Notes version of what happened the last 2, 3 years, man.